Greetings, gin friends, and welcome to the very first official Juniper Collective unbottling. Yes, the Juniper Collective is back. Our gin club has, like the phoenix, come back from the ashes, and we are very excited to re-kick things off with some local gins. Yes, we have a pair here of brand new gins from Driftwood. Yeah, you know, the brewery, Driftwood. You're probably familiar with them if you're from Victoria. They make exquisite beer. Their Factug is available at most bars and restaurants here in the city, and even further afield up island as well, and possibly even on the mainland, I'm not sure. But now, they are also distilling. And that is always good news, because, I mean, there's a lot of shared expertise between brewing and distilling. You generally have to brew something before you can distill it. But it's absolutely fantastic to know that the same people who are responsible for some of my favourite beers are now going to be using that same knowledge and expertise in this distillation world, bringing interesting flavours to the forefront and different techniques and concepts. And like most distilleries, they're kicking it off with a gin because it doesn't take much time to make a gin. You don't have to wait for it to mature. But I do know for absolute certainty that they are planning on releasing whiskey in the future as well. But what do we have? Why a pair? Why do they have two gins right from the get-go? Well, it's a very driftwoody kind of a thing to do, isn't it? They love experimenting with flavour, and they love variety. They're known for having a suite of very good beers. They're not one of these breweries that has like one flagship and will occasionally do some special editions. No, they have a whole suite of different things, including Crooked Coast, which, by the way, I think is incredibly underrated. I don't know why it doesn't get the love that some of their other beers do. It's only just become available in cans, and I think it is absolutely the best local beer to pair with whiskey in a half and a half situation. But anyway, we're talking gin. Back to the gins. Gin is the thing. Gin is in. And we have the pair here. And they decided to make a pair because, in a very Driftwood way, they didn't want to just make a juniper forward gin, did they? They didn't want to just say, well, we know how to make gin. You make it juniper forward. You throw in these other background botanicals in there and call it a day. No, they wanted to do something a little bit more experimental and maybe even sort of artsy, if you will. They wanted to take some of those background characters and give them a lead role. And they wanted to make two different gins, and they wanted to have a different focus for each one. So we've got the Parabola. This gin here is all about the botanicals that give a floral kind of flavour profile to it. Yeah. And then we have the Contact. This one is all about the citrus. Very cool, right? So we're going to try both today. And as Juniper members, or prospective Juniper members, you can come to the Strathdale Wine and Spirit Merchants and try both of these gins. You get to try both gins for $5 for the pair, and you get a good sample of them, and even a little bit of tonic as well. And we will try these with tonic in a second. But first of all, let's try them straight. So, Parabola. Let's take a look at the label. Beautiful artwork on both of these, actually. I'll put them back up front and center again, because that, let's hopefully make the camera focus, that is gorgeous. All of the artwork on Driftwood products have always been incredible, but they've kicked it up a notch on this. The bottle shape is fabulous. Look at the lids. They've got the emblems burned into the wood there. Just, oh man, they've even got the Driftwood Spirits logo in the punt. That is absolutely incredible. I just noticed that right now. Very cool presentation, I have to say. Very, very cool. And yeah, very, very good. All right, let's open these up. The first gin to be ever unbottled as part of the Juniper Collective Unbottling series is going to be the Parabola. Here we go for the unbottling, the cork. And I'm excited for the cork. A lot of gins are screw tops. But yeah, it's just not as satisfying of a sound, is it? But here we go. Hey. All right. Feels weird not using a Glencairn on this channel. Oh, yes. So what information can we garner from the bottle? Well, 45% ABV. Why 45 instead of 40 or 43? Well, I was told it's because there's so much concentration of botanicals in here that they had to do it at 45 because otherwise it would go cloudy. It would, what's the gin term for it? Louche? Anyway, so they had to make it 45, but I just think I like higher proof gins anyway. I think that's a bonus. What goes up must come down, but if you keep your focus on the axis of symmetry, you will never stray far from the curve. A fragrant floral formula infused with rose, lavender, violet, and iris. Leave somewhere familiar and land somewhere new. Reminds me of Parma violets. Reminds me of Old Bowmore, actually. If you're wondering what Bowmore is, if you're not a whiskey person, it's a smoky Islay, which when it gets old, the smoke dissipates and leaves behind this almost violet-y, lavendery kind of a nose. Oh, it's really, yeah. It is floral. They've definitely captured that essence quite well there. Parma violets, so much chalky candy Parma violets, like love heart sweetness. It's like it's got the violet of a Parma violet, but the chalkiness of a love heart. And if those words don't mean anything to you, find yourself a British candy import store and try Parma violets and love hearts. They're glorious. It's like normally if you say a drink is perfumey, it's not necessarily a compliment, but this is perfumey in all of the right ways. It's so... They've done so well at capturing that floral essence. I'm very impressed. Yeah, glorious. And then we've got the contact. So this one is the citrus one. On the back it says, a bright citrus-driven phenomenon that has encountered grapefruit peel, Irish root beeswax, and other worldly wisdom. Beeswax! Very cool. Again, 45% because of the whole clouding issue. Unchill filtered, I guess, to borrow a term from the whiskey world. Wouldn't go cloudy if it was chill filtered. And I'm glad it isn't. All right. Orange creamsicle. Yes, it is. That is straight up orange creamsicle on the nose there. Or like one of those creamy orange pound cakes. Oh yeah, that is really, really pleasant. It's like honey, vanilla, lemon curd. Honey, vanilla, lemon curd. Spread on like a brioche. A little kick of licorice in there. Reminded me of the tiger ice cream. With that vanilla as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, these are both fabulous neat, and I'm sure they would be fabulous with soda as well. But being an Englishman, I am a big fan of a gin and tonic. And as much as I love gin cocktails, and I think both of these could be very, very playful in a cocktail. I'm sure cocktail artists around the city are going to have a lot of fun creating things with this. For me, it's important to see what a gin is like in a gin and tonic, because that is by far and away the most common way to serve a gin around the world. If I was to have a cocktail, though, let's quickly think about what kind of things I would put this in. I would want to do something with like chartreuse or something with the floral one. I want to add a bit more herbaceousness to this. I think that would be a really neat direction to go. The citric. Martini. I think that would be a really bloody cool martini gin. Yeah. Yeah. Put it with a really good quality modern style vermouth. Maybe something Maybe one of the American vermouths would be really cool with that. Yeah. All right. Okay. So G&T time. As you can see, I've got my accoutrements. I'm going to choose which of the 3 classic G&T garnishes are going to go with this, and maybe suggest something a little more avant-garde that I don't necessarily have on hand. But special shout out to another local brewery distillery who happen to also make tonic, because as is the case before and as is the case again, Sparkmouth Tonic from Phillips is the official tonic of the Juniper Collective Gin Club, and this is the tonic that we'll be giving you 1 can of tonic to go with your samples of gin when you come and try them in store. So, Sparkmouth Tonic, and got my knife ready for my fruit. I've got some ice. Got a little chopping board over here. Having some fun. All right, let's get some ice going. So I'm expecting that both of these are going to be a really interesting gin and tonic, actually. I'm just going to throw 1 ice cube in each. I'm not going to be having a particularly large amount of either of these. This is just a sampling. I'm not here to have a full-on drink. I'm just here to give you my impressions. So, floral. Yes, I know that they're trying to go for the floral and therefore there's not that much citrus, but I would like to balance it out with just a little more citrus. I think lime might be too much. I think lemon is the way to go for that. So I'm going to put a little bit of lemon on that. Lovely. I think this would be my garnish of choice, but I'll try it without the garnish first. Now, long or short is always the big question with gin and tonic. Have it however you prefer it, however you like it. After all, this is a drink to be enjoyed, not to be, lost in study. This is a refreshing mixed drink. However you like it. I tend to go for sort of a 1 to 4 kind of a ratio with gin and tonic, which is relatively short, I guess. But I've gone a little heavier than that today. It's harder to judge when it's a smaller amount. I only poured myself a maybe 1/3 of an ounce on the get-go there of the gin. That's a beautiful, unique gin and tonic. Yeah, it's very refreshing. I do think, though, that lemon will give it a bit of a extra zing. So let's throw a little lemon in there. Give it a swirl. Oh, yeah. Yeah. For me, lemon is a good choice. Look, I'm probably going to play around and try a couple of other options, but Parabola Gin, does it gin and tonic? Yes, it does, especially with a bit of lemon. But I think the style of gin is also definitely calling out for some cocktail treatment. I think a lot can be done with that. Contact. All right, let's try Contact. Straight up with the gin and tonic. Out there. Thanks for the tonic, Phillips. All right. Oh, wow. The gin flavours are almost as potent in a G&T as they were neat. So much of that orange creamsicle coming through. That is quite something. I am surprised at how much is coming through there. That's really cool. But that being said, because it's coming through so strong with the citrus still, I think cucumber. Massive fan of cucumber in a G&T. I love the extra little interesting freshness that cucumber gives. And I always go hard on the cucumber as well. 1 slice of cucumber doesn't cut it for me because it's quite a delicate flavour. So I recommend 2 slices, cut in half, and then just throw it in there quite liberally. Give it a nice big swirl, let it infuse for a bit. Oh, yes. That's really interesting because honestly, neat, I prefer the Parabola. In a gin and tonic, though, the Contact is just magnificent. Oh, yeah. This gets a very high score from me. But don't take my word for it. If you're here in Victoria, come down to the Strath. Give these both a try. Welcome back, Juniper members. It's been far too long, and we are very much looking forward to taking a gin journey with you once more. We will be doing these every single month. We'll have a new pair of gins for you to come and try. Ordinarily, they wouldn't be both from the same distillery. They would be, a mix and match, maybe one local, one international. But we're just so excited to be presenting these Driftwoods that we just had to present them here today. Of course, with the club being back, and now with the online store, you can get 5% off of any gin. Every gin in the store, aside from if the SNWS occasionally releases a gin, which they sometimes do, no extra discount on SNWS bottles, I'm afraid. But aside from that, which is very rare, 5% off of all gins, except featured gins. These two are being featured right now, and that means you get 10% off. And we actually don't have this size. This is the 375, the Mickey size, if you will. We carry the full-size ones. We've got these just for samples. But the full-size ones are available right now in store. Regular price is $50.35, which means with your 10% Juniper Collective discount, it's $45.32. $45.32, fantastic price for incredibly unique, one-of-a-kind, local craft gins. Really, it's actually getting harder to pick a favourite, but like I said, don't take my word for it. Come on into the Strath anytime before 7 o'clock, 6 days a week. Not on Wednesdays, it's our delivery day, and it gets a little cramped on a Wednesday in the Strath with pallets of stuff being delivered. So try and steer clear of Wednesdays. But any other day, come in and try a pair of gins. We'll see you there. Chin chin.